Hello everyone. Today I'm gonna change this catalyst converter on this 2002 Honda Civic. I think they call it exhaust manifold as well. There's a few videos on the internet about it, but not too many. I spray a little bit WD-40 around the edges so it'll be easier to take off. These bolts that hold the heat shield in, you'll be able to find the socket that fits it. It's more than likely metric. And then this O2 sensor, I have to get a 7/8 O2 sensor to be able to take it out, or I could cut the wire and put a regular deep wall 7/8 in to take it out, or I could also get a 7/8 wrench to take it out. And on this end I'll probably have to put either a pipe or another big wrench on it to be able to take it off if it's on there too strong. And that's the main reason why I'm taking this off and replacing it. That was the JB extreme heat crap that wasn't worth anything. And then there's also two other bolts on each side that I need to remove on the bottom of this. And I lifted the car up already. And I put it on jack stands, and then on the back wheels I got those triangle stopper things for the tires so it don't roll back, plus the emergency brake. Look up any other type of safety and stuff like that, like gloves, you know, stuff like that for procedures to be able to be ready and secure. So I'm gonna go ahead and start on this and start taking it off one by one. Probably start on the top first, maybe the bottom, not sure. Okay, so I'll remove these two bolts up here holding the heat shield, and they're 12mm bolts. Then there's also one on this side on the bottom, and there's also another one on this side on the bottom. I don't know if you can see, but it's there. I gotta take those off. Okay, so I got these bolts out. They're actually 10mm bolts on both sides on the bottom, and that lets you remove this. So the next step is to take this clip off for the O2 sensor right here. There's a push down button on it, and then you just pull on it. Oh, hard to do while holding the camera, so let me put my phone down. Okay, on these 2002 Honda Civic models, the O2 sensor for the top is actually plugged into the same place where the bottom one is plugged in. Okay, but once you unplug that, you go ahead and push this in like that, and then you push this in and out. Hold on one second. Oops, it's stuck in there. Okay, then you lift this heat shield up and over, and then you're able to put a wrench in there to take out that O2 sensor. Okay, now I got the O2 sensor out, and now I gotta get these bolts, which I'm gonna soak up with W2 again. Yeah, hold on. So I'll be able to put these W2 back in there again to soften them up. That way they don't risk breaking as I'm trying to remove them, so I can install the new exhaust manifold or catalyst converter. Okay, now on here I came across an issue where this JB Weld extreme heat started falling apart as I took a ratchet and socket to the nut that goes on there holding the exhaust manifold in there. It could fall inside the hole where the O2 sensor goes, which is not good. So I might actually reuse this catalyst converter, because I could grind that off and clean it off and re-weld it. So I'm gonna just try to be careful. So I put this O2 sensor back in there. I put it about 4 or 5 turns, so no risk falling from there to there while I'm trying to take this nut off over here. Okay, on these you want to be careful that you don't drop the nuts that go here and lose them, especially that corner one over there. So what you can do is loosen it all the way to the edge of the bolt of the stud where it's attached to the engine, and leave it on the end, and you could unscrew it and let it fall into your hand as you're unscrewing it. Another technique is you could put it on the very edge where it's loose, where it's about to come off, and you could get a magnet and put it on there, and it'll get stuck to the magnet. I have one of those magnets. It's one of these thick ones right here. You can actually get them at any automotive store. They're really good. They pick up a lot of heavy stuff. Just not that heavy, but they come in handy. Okay, these bottom two bolt springs, bolts, I guess they're called. I sprayed them with WD-40. I let them soak over time, and now I'm spraying them again as I'm about to take a ratchet and socket to it, and hopefully be able to take them out without breaking them or bending them, because I got to put these on the new one that I got because it didn't come with these. Okay guys, right here, these two spring bolts on the bottom between the muffler and the catalyst converter or exhaust manifold. It's actually kind of hard, but it's not too hard. But there is a nut on this side where this bolt goes to on this side, but you can't loosen this nut right here. Don't try, you're gonna hurt yourself or break something. What you can do when you're loosening this one with the, I think it was a 12, I use a 12 millimeter extension and ratchet. You can use is a cheater pipe. And for those who don't know, this is the hammer that I made it at one of my old jobs. On this side right here, I left it hollow. I can use this as a cheater pipe. I used it at work, and I use it for mechanic work too. It's actually very, very handy. And this hammer does hurt and does bang and get your money's worth. And now that I got these two bolt springs off, I'm gonna go ahead and pull and lift this thing right here, but I might have to unhook these clips right here where the other bottom O2 sensor is, or just take off the O2 sensor before I pull it off, because you don't want to jerk the O2 sensor, you mess it up. I need to as well take this one off too, or I might leave it on there as I'm taking it off, that way to make sure none of this goes in there. Okay, so there's this O2 sensor in the very bottom that I can't get to with the crescent wrench or wrench, and I don't want to cut the wire and have to buy another O2 sensor because I don't know how much they are. I might end up buying the O2 socket for the sensor, but what I'm going to do for now is remove these bolts and finish taking off the lower heat shield on this catalyst converter. That way I can do it with the wrench for now. Okay, so I took one of them out on this side, and then there's another one way down here. I don't know if you can see it with the camera, but there's one more down there, way down there. You can barely see it right there. And these, whatever they are, lube lines or tubes, metal tubes, they're actually in the way. So what I'm doing is using this 10 millimeter, this elbow, this one extension and another extension and ratchet, and I'm going in there and I'm turning it. It's almost out already. That's the only thing slowing me down right now. Once you get that bottom bolt out, get a magnet once it's loose, and you just pull it out. This side down here, I'm not going to do it, but it's going to be a lot easier if I was to do it because there's so much room. But what I am going to do is loosen it. Once I loosen it, I'm going to push this bottom heat shield up and over. That way I could get a wrench down there in the bottom to take that O2 sensor out. I got the bottom heat shield cover off completely because I was trying to get to that O2 sensor in the bottom. I couldn't get my wrench down there. I couldn't fit it in there. There's a lot of stuff in the way. Let me see if I could give you a view. Some models you probably can fit a wrench in there some way, somehow. I tried crescent wrench and regular wrench. It didn't fit, and I didn't have enough room to turn it. So what I'm going to do is unclip it. There's these there's wire right here that goes to the O2 sensor. It just slides into these little clips right here. There's one on this side and there's one on this side right here. It just slides in and out. So I just pushed it the opposite way where it's open, and it comes right out. Careful not to put no force, and of course unclip it first from this side. And now what I'm going to do is pull this out from here, and then once I pull it out from here, I should be able to pull it out and then up and get it out. So I lifted up and over this catalyst converter, but it wasn't budging. There's actually a bolt, this bolt right here. It's a 14 millimeter bolt that gets inside of the top right here. There's a hole, and then this bottom nut is actually welded or attached to the bracket that goes to the motor from the bottom down here. And then once you remove that, then you could pull the catalyst converter, exhaust manifold up and out, and then you could take a wrench and finish taking that O2 sensor out. Okay, just in case somebody removes these O2 sensors and forget which ones goes where, this bottom one, the O2 sensor on the O2 Civics are like this. The top one on the O2 Honda Civic LX is like this. Okay, so this is the Velcro brand gasket I bought at one of the auto places. So this is the one that it came with, which is no good actually. And then there's some bolts in there that I can replace some of those over there, but not all of them. And then this is my new catalyst converter, exhaust manifold, whatever you want to call it. And before I install that, I'm actually gonna clean up right here a little bit where all this grease and WD-40 and all that was accumulating. And before I do that, I went ahead and I put a piece of these blue towels in there. That way the brake cleaner doesn't fall in there. And then also another thing, you don't want to spray brake cleaner every single spot. You don't want to get it inside the engine, like in there for example, and then mess up your motor or whatever, or take chance and then messing it up. And especially around any electrical wiring, you don't want to do that. So you got to be real careful when you do it. Okay, so before installing this what's it called, DNA motoring exhaust manifold or catalyst converter, you take off these, which is covering the hole where the O2 sensors are going to go. That's going to be for the top one. This is going to be for the bottom one. And then the gasket, the old one is this one right here. It's actually not that bad of shape except for right here in the corner, but the rest is pretty good. I can reuse it, but I'm going to go ahead and use this one since this one's actually not damaged and is actually in very good condition. And that one goes in the bottom that connects this exhaust manifold to the muffler. And the Velcro one is right here. This is the one I'm going to put on top first. And then I'm going to go ahead and install this one and bolt it down. The old one actually goes in there first. I mean, well, not first, but you can put it first. But the whole factory studs go here where it's attached to the motor. Then you put the factory nuts in there. And then the old springs, I'm going to use my factory ones as well. I might use the new ones maybe, I don't know yet. We'll find out in a minute. We install the new exhaust manifold or catalyst converter. You want to go ahead and put that gasket in here. And I forgot what kind of material it's called that it's made out of. But you put it in there and then you push it all the way down so it'll be flat with the thing, which it needs a little bit more in the bottom down there. I'm actually gonna have to use the new bolts. All I did was replace it with the old springs from the old studs or bolts, whatever. I'm using a 14 millimeter on the bottom and a 17 millimeter wrench on top to be able to tighten them and put them in the slot on the new exhaust manifold. Okay, I had to take out this catalyst converter out because I had to put these O2 sensors in first. It makes it easier. You're trying to spin it on the bottom and it's gonna getting tangled right here. You could risk ripping these wires, which you don't want. Okay, since I used to be a welder, I used to have these clamps and I have it gripping these two together, and on the end I got these other vice clamps. That way I can put this bolt with the spring and the nut on there so I could tighten it. But what I'm gonna do is tighten it a little bit only, and I'm gonna do the same thing on that side, on the opposite side, so I can put the other bolt and spring on there. Okay, so I went ahead and I tightened those down there in the bottom, and I left this tiny small gap in between them about the same size as the original one was on the bottom. And unfortunately I'm missing two bolts up here on top, but these three on the bottom I could tighten them pretty easily, even this one down there in the back. But this one right here in between these two pipes, for some reason they manufactured these catalyst converter exhaust manifolds like this from their company, DNA. And I could get a wrench, 12 millimeter wrench right here in the back, and then I could wiggle it around to make sure it's straight, and then I could push up on it and then make sure it's tight from the back. That's the only good thing about it. There's a lot of room now since this is an aftermarket one. Okay, so whenever you're connecting these O2 sensors back on this model, this one goes on the left, but it can actually only go on one, but don't force it. And also you got to push this little lever as you're inserting them back in. This one's not in all the way, so I'm gonna show you. See, it's out. Okay, and it only goes in one way without forced entry and without breaking them. Once you find out which way it goes, it slides right in like nothing. But remember, you got to push this little button right here, and then it goes in all the way. Then it clicks, and then you can't pull it out no more unless you push this button right here. And I tightened it. I'm gonna go ahead and retighten these two again on the corners, and then I'm gonna turn it on and see what it does. Supposedly these give you a check engine light and I don't know what else. And this it goes from like a chrome look or stainless steel look to like a goldish yellow. We'll find out later in use once we're using it. So I'm finished with the exhaust manifold catalyst converter on this O2 Honda Civic. I'm gonna wait a minute though before I turn it on because the brake fluid that I sprayed all around that area, let it dry up. It's not too sunny outside today. It might actually rain. Hopefully it doesn't. But I'm gonna wait anyway. I'm gonna eat and then I'm gonna turn it on and try it out.